Hi everyone, I'm Z from Susan's family. Today, I'm bringing you the Monsoon multi-use shawl. The shawl includes the main piece and tassels. First, we'll knit the main piece. Then, we'll join it together. Finally, we'll attach the tassels. Let's start by learning the method for the main piece. The main piece starts with a knit stitch at the edge. Then, we'll work upwards in the corresponding stitch pattern. During the knitting process, we need to change colors. For the convenience of explanation, we will divide the main piece into 5 sections based on different colors. It's important to note that, due to individual differences in hand tension, the size of the fabric pieces may vary. Before starting the actual knitting, you can follow along with the upcoming video demonstration of the main piece. Use the corresponding color of yarn, and follow the stitch and row counts from the gauge sample chart to knit a gauge swatch. Measure your hand tension. When actually knitting the main piece, you will need to switch colors. When making the gauge swatch, there's no need to switch colors. Just knit the corresponding number of rows for the gauge swatch, and bind off and cut the yarn. Now, please watch me demonstrate the method for knitting the main piece. Before starting the foundation chain, leave a 70 cm yarn tail at the beginning, for later joining. For the gauge swatch, you don't need to leave a long yarn tail. Note, the demonstration uses random yarn. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, please refer to the product details page and paper instructions. Here, I'm leaving a shorter yarn tail. Fold the yarn tail a few times, and tie a loose knot to secure it. Then, refer to the video below to cast on the corresponding number of stitches. Let me emphasize this. Try to cast on loosely. Otherwise, the edge won't have enough elasticity. First, take the corresponding yarn and make a slip knot. Unless there are special circumstances, start by leaving about 10 centimeters, which will make it easier to weave in the ends later. Pick up one straight needle with your left hand, or one end of a circular needle, and insert it into the loop. Slightly tighten it. This is the first stitch. Hold the other straight needle. Or the other end of the circular needle with your right hand, using a pencil grip. Wrap the yarn around your right pinky once. Gently pinch the yarn between your ring finger and middle finger. Place this yarn between your index finger and middle finger. This is the proper posture for knitting. After the first stitch is started, place the right needle above the yarn. Insert it from top to bottom into the loop on the left needle. Use your right index finger to pick up the yarn. Yarn over and pull it through. Slip it onto the left needle. Don't pull the yarn too tight, or it will be difficult to pick up the stitches later. This is the second stitch. Continue casting on. Place the right needle above the yarn. Insert it from top to bottom between these two stitches. Yarn over. Pick up the yarn. Slip it onto the left needle. This is the third stitch. Pay attention, don't pull the yarn too tight. Continue casting on. Insert into the space between the loops. Yarn over and draw through. This is the fourth stitch. Each time you insert the needle, it should be between 2 loops. Continue knitting and casting on as you go. Stop when you reach the desired number of stitches. This is the method for knitting and casting on at the same time. After completing the cast on, start working row 1. Row 1 is worked on the right side. Follow the arrow direction. Read the chart from right to left. The first stitch is an empty square, indicating a knit stitch. Insert the hook into the first loop like this. Yarn over and draw through. Release the loop on the left needle. 1 knit stitch is complete. Next is the circle symbol, indicating a yarn over. Here, we will wrap the yarn above the right needle. Then around the right needle, like this. Next is the symbol for purling 2 stitches together. Insert the right needle from right to left through the next 2 loops on the left needle. Yarn over. Pick up. And release the 2 loops on the left needle. This is a purl 2 stitches together. We'll refer to it as purling 2 together from now on. You can see that the yarn over effectively adds 1 stitch. The purl 2 together effectively decreases 1 stitch. First, add 1 stitch, then decrease 1 stitch. The total number of stitches remains the same. For the rest of this row, alternate between a yarn over and a purl 2 together. I'll demonstrate it again in slow motion. A yarn over is like this, wrapping around the right needle once. A purl 2 together involves inserting the hook into the 2 loops on the left side and purling them together. Follow this method until you have 1 loop left. Pay attention and don't forget to do the yarn over each time. Be sure to be careful when knitting. And don't forget to do the yarn over. Now, there is 1 loop left on the sample. The pattern shows the symbol for a knit slip stitch on the row where the point of the slip stitch is located. We knit on the right side. First, wrap the yarn under the right needle. Then knit 1 stitch. That completes the first row. We will consider the side of the fabric that is facing us as the right side. This means the right side is facing you. When the right side is facing you, the starting tail of the yarn is at the bottom left corner. Continue to work the second row. Flip to the wrong side. When working on the wrong side, read the chart from left to right. The first stitch is on the row where the opening of the slip stitch is located. We will pick up along the texture without knitting. Here, you place the yarn above the right needle. Pick it up like this. Don't pull the loop too tight. The slip stitch is done. Next is the yarn over symbol. You can hold it slightly here. Work the yarn over. Then comes the symbol for K2 tog, knit 2 together, since we are working on the wrong side. So here, you need to work the opposite stitch. That means purling and working a left-leaning decrease. The method is the same as the K2 tog in the first row. Next, alternate between working one yarn over and one purl left-leaning decrease. Continue until one loop remains. After completing, the chart shows the symbol for purling and slipping. Since we are on the wrong side, we will start with one knit stitch here. At the beginning of the third row, pick up but do not work. That concludes the second row. You can notice that both edges have a V-shaped braid. Since this is at the beginning, the braid might not be very noticeable. To make it easier to count rows, we will place a marker on any stitch on either side. This braid is formed when working the slip stitch. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a safety pin or a paperclip instead. One braid corresponds to 2 rows. Continue with the third row. At the beginning of this row, pick up but do not work using the purl stitch. Each time you pick up a loop, don't pull it too tight. Then alternate between one chain stitch and one purl stitch. Work together. The last stitch is a knit stitch. You'll notice that the method for the third row is exactly the same as the second row. I'll explain the measurement of the gauge sample first. And then we'll discuss the color changes in the main part later. If you're working on a gauge sample, just repeat the second row. When counting the rows, it means you've completed a row on the wrong side, which is when the working yarn and the starting tail are on opposite sides. Then count the number of braids along the edge. The small sample here has 3 braids, which means 6 rows have been worked. After completing the corresponding row number for the gauge sample, you can watch the video demonstration for the finishing method, and then bind off and cut the yarn. Bind off loosely as well. Then lay the fabric piece flat. Measure the width and height in the middle, trying not to measure at the edges. Measure from this stitch to the next stitch before it. We consider this as one group, which means 2 stitches per group. According to the diagram instructions, we measure the width of the corresponding groups in the middle. When measuring the height, from the top of one thread to the top of the next thread, that indicates 2 rows. According to the diagram instructions, we measure the height of the corresponding row number in the middle. Usually, a difference of less than 1 centimeter from the given dimension is acceptable. If it's larger than the given dimension and exceeds 1 centimeter, we recommend knitting tighter or switching to finer needles and re-knitting. If it's smaller than the given dimension and exceeds 1 centimeter, we suggest knitting looser or switch to thicker needles and re-knit. Next, the knitting method for each row of the main part is the same as row 2. The last stitch of the last row in section 5 of the chart is a purl symbol, but since it's worked on the wrong side, you should still knit it. This means it's the same as the last stitch of every previous row, which is also a knit stitch. Each time you finish the last row of a section with 1 stitch remaining, take out the corresponding color yarn for the next row. Join the yarn. This means tying a knot with the new yarn and the original yarn. Pull the knot to the base. Then leave about 10 centimeters of the original yarn. Cut it off. Leave about 10 centimeters of the new yarn as well. Knit 1 knit stitch with the new yarn. The color change is complete. Continue knitting the next section normally with the new yarn. These short yarn tails can be dealt with later. Each time you need to switch colors in the future, use the method demonstrated just now at the last stitch. To join the new yarn and continue knitting, if a ball of yarn is almost finished, or if you encounter a knot in the middle of the ball, cut out the knot. Then refer to the previous demonstration to join the yarn and continue knitting. Leave about 10 centimeters for all the yarn tails. After finishing the main part, proceed with binding off. That means bind off while knitting the stitches. For the first stitch, we can pick it up following the texture. Then knit 1 stitch. And cover the previous stitch with the next one. Note: the binding off should be slightly loose, similar to casting on, ensuring it has elasticity. Continue knitting 1 more knit stitch. Cover the previous stitch with the next one. This will bind off 1 more stitch. Continue binding off the remaining stitches. When you have 1 loop left, stretch the loop. To prevent it from slipping, leave about 70 centimeters of yarn tail and cut it. Stretch the loop again. And pass the yarn tail through the loop. Pull tight. Now we've finished explaining the main part of the knitting. Next, we need to join together the corresponding positions of the main part. First, place the main part like this. The bottom is the starting chain. The top is the finishing. The reserved yarn is all on the left side. Then fold it in half like this. Use the reserved yarn separately, sew a section on both sides. The specific length can be referenced from the diagram instructions. You can also adjust according to your needs. I'll start by joining the side with the starting chain. Thread the yarn tail through the joining needle, then alternate on both sides. Picking up stitches and joining them together like this. You can also use your preferred method for joining. Each time, insert the needle in a regular pattern. At the beginning, we can start like this. Come out from this slip stitch braid. Then insert the needle into the slip stitch braid on this side. Exit on the left side. You can pick up 2 strands like this. Insert the needle back here. Exit. Insert the needle. Exit. Insert the needle here and exit on the left side. The specific picking up situation is as follows. You can also do this according to your preference. Just make sure both sides are roughly aligned. Don't let them be obviously staggered. Sew a few stitches and gently pull to tighten the yarn. Don't pull too tight. After joining the required length, bring the yarn to the wrong side, and tie a knot to secure it. Then weave in the yarn tail. You can also weave in a bit more. Cut the yarn. This completes one side. Next, we will use the yarn tail from the bound-off edge to join the other side using the same method. For this side, we can always insert the hook into the V-shaped loops of the bound-off edge to join. Each time, we can do it like this, inserting the hook into the V-shaped loops of the bound-off edge to join. After joining to the required length, we can weave in and fasten off the yarn in the same way. Once both sides are joined, the short yarn tails from joining the yarn during the process, also hide them. Follow the texture of the same color yarn to hide them. You can also weave in a few more stitches. Up to this point, the main part is complete. Finally, at both ends, attach tassels. Use the corresponding same color yarn for each section. Cut 2 pieces of yarn about 24 centimeters long. Fold them in half. Then use a straight needle to insert from the back side into a small hole. Pick out the loop. Pass the tail through the loop. Gently pull to tighten. One tassel is done. Next, follow this method. To attach a tassel, at each small hole, The density of the tassels can also be adjusted according to your preference. Up to this point, we have finished explaining this shawl. If you have any unclear parts during the knitting process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's family. Support your handwork experience. Enjoy the joy of life. Thank you for watching.